Wander Wealthy Podcast, episode 174. Hey, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Wander Wealthy Podcast. My name is Tess. I am your host, founder of Wander Wealthy, and business coach for aspiring, new, or frustrated money coaches out there. I have a really exciting episode for us today. I wanted to talk about something that has been something that came up in my journey to building my money coaching business, and that I hear from so many people about their concerns around even thinking about becoming a money coach. And that is ultimately, when we boil it down, how to deal with people who don't see the vision for you, who don't believe that this is a possible career path, and that these people have, different ways of saying that they just don't think this is going to work out for you. And I want to share not only my story and some experiences that I've heard from others, but also share, obviously, some guiding lines for you to follow as someone who does have a dream, who does have a goal to build your own coaching business, to make a big impact on the world, and to do it, from the comfort of your own home. So we're going to dive in. And to be honest, I have no idea how long or how short this episode is going to be today. I have some rough notes, but I also feel like I'm just going to kind of riff with it because this is something that I'm super passionate about. But I purposely didn't take a lot of notes because I was like, even the few points I have on here, I could probably talk about for days. So we will see how it goes, and hopefully this is very coherent for you. It definitely will be. But before we dive into the meat and potatoes of this week's episode, I want to share with you who is sponsoring this episode, and that is my coaching program for aspiring new and or frustrated money coaches out there, the Wealthy Coach Blueprint. So if you are someone who is working on building your money coaching business, or you even just have a dream of it, the Wealthy Coach Blueprint helps you take a step-by-step proven process to building your booked out money coaching business. And we do that by following a very specific sequence of phases. Throughout the transformational 90 days that we get to work together as you make your way through the blueprint, you will not only figure out who specifically you are perfectly and uniquely situated to help and help change their lives, but you'll also build your life-changing coaching package for them. Learn how to market it to those people, know how to find your ideal clients, and ultimately learn how to run your coaching business, because a lot of people's fears is that one-on-one coaching especially, or high-end, high-touch, and high-value coaching is an unsustainable business model. And I show you exactly how to make it super sustainable, especially when you are in the early days of building your business and maybe you have a small social media following, or you're just starting to really gain that traction. So the blueprint really helps you build that dream business that you've been thinking about and planning in your head, or maybe you even been attempting by going through other courses, or maybe even hiring other coaches and have not made the progress that you would ideally have liked to make. We're here to solve that. When you join the Wealthy Coach Blueprint, you get to learn and be personally coached by me in a very intimate setting, and we work through, and I get to have my hands in your business, helping you and guiding you every step of the way, keeping you from getting in your own way, keeping you from getting stuck, and making sure that you are moving forward and you are making progress. And I do this because this is the type of coaching I wish I would have had access to when I was building mine, and because I want to show you that it is possible. I myself built my own booked out money coaching business, and I know you can too. And so I've decided to put it together in the Wealthy Coach Blueprint and help bring the world more money coaches, because by golly, we need more money coaches. So here are the deets. The blueprint is not currently enrolling, but it will be starting in August. So if you want to get into the next round of the Wealthy Coach Blueprint, I highly suggest that you sign on to the waitlist. You can go to wanderwealthy.com/apply, check out what it entails, the entire blueprint and what we got going on, but also make sure that you scroll all the way to the bottom and put your name and email address in the form so you can get on the wait list, because I run the blueprint curriculum only a few times a year. And I only take on a certain number of people at a time, since there is only one of me and I want to give you all of my attention. So it is first come, first serve. If you want to be one of the first to know when we open the blueprint for enrollment, go to wanderwealthy.com/apply and jump on the wait list. All right, let's get into today's show now. We are just kind of going to spiral into it because we were just talking about building your booked out coaching business and how, especially when you're in your early days, all of a sudden you decide this is something that you want to do and you start talking to people about it. And if those people aren't in the world of running their own online business, or they just aren't on the same wavelength as you or your potential clients, they're going to have a lot of questions and potentially a lot of doubts. So some examples of what that might look like is, first and foremost, maybe your parents or your aunts and uncles are really going to have a hard time wrapping their mind around what it looks like to be an online money coach. Now, this doesn't mean that if you want to build a money coaching business, you have to do it entirely online, but I think we are seeing how wonderful it is, especially during the year of the pandemic, that this type of business model and this type of career is possible. Also, hopefully your parents are starting to see now what virtual work looks like. Maybe they're experiencing it, or they're just noticing this wave of people having to work virtually for the most part. But aside from that, the idea of building a business completely online is really hard for many people to wrap their mind around. And so your parents is just one example that I'm bringing up, but it could be literally anyone. And they just have this doubt because they're really confused about how that really would work. And what I want you to think about when you hear this sort of doubt, when you hear this sort of misunderstanding, is first and foremost, there is just a pure lack of understanding of how the world of online business works. Once you experience it, and maybe you haven't experienced it yet, but you are getting a sense of it, it really is just super simple. You know, you just have to show up. I mean, there's more to it, but it's simple. It's a simple process. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is simple. You show up, you get on a call, you share your screen with your clients, you talk through, you make a solution or strategize or make a plan, and they pay you. And they pay you by, transferring money, making a payment, any of the different ways that they could potentially pay you, they pay you, and that's the exchange. And yes, your parents or other people who just don't understand the online business world could have a hard time really grappling with that. But the other way that I want you to think about this, other than it's just like, okay, they just don't understand it, and I accept that, and I understand that they don't understand, is to also notice that if there is any level of doubt coming from them, it's coming from a place of love. And it's really coming from that place of they just want you to be happy. And for a lot of us, especially those of us who grew up in the US especially, unfortunately for at the very least most of us who grew up in the US, happiness and income and the ability to produce an income has been so intertwined in such a complicated way. And there's arguments on both sides of like, money can't buy happiness. Well, a certain amount of money can. And I'm not going to make that argument today, but if you just think about it from, especially if you're thinking like how your parents feel about this new endeavor that you might be taking, they might express it in a way that makes you feel hurt or feel misunderstood. But the way that I want you to think about how they might be outwardly and verbally expressing what's happening internally is think about what's happening internally. They're honestly and probably just, trying to make sure that you're going to be okay. They're really just interested in your ability to survive and thrive, especially if it's your parents. That's what they want for you. They want for you to be able to, turn into a beautiful butterfly and fly off and live a beautiful life and come back and visit every once in a while. So if you can just spin that, but also know that their lack of understanding has nothing to do with the fact that you should or shouldn't be pursuing this, right? Like, just because people had a hard time wrapping their mind around computers being smaller than the size of massive classrooms, right? When the first computer was ever invented, it was like the size of an enormous warehouse. And then I think like it shrunk to the size of a classroom. Imagine someone during that time thinking about a computer that now we can just like carry around in our backpack. They would have been like, I don't understand. Don't pursue that. Sounds risky. So you just got to detach and know that they're coming from a really good place of just hoping for the best for you. Now, another situation or scenario in which people could present their doubt about your desire to pursue this career is, and I'm using an example of friends this time, but again, it could literally be your parents or your partner or anybody else. But let's say your friends don't see why anyone would want to hire a money coach. And so they're projecting their uncertainty onto you. And again, we can peel this back, and it's coming from a place of love or potentially from a place of their own self-judgment, right? But it's not really coming from a place of something where you should be taking it on as constructive feedback. And it's not even feedback because you didn't ask for it. But this is understandable. If your friends are in a place, especially financially, where they don't see the need in a money coach, they're going to verbalize that to you because they just don't. Again, they don't understand it. My personal experience when I moved to Italy, that was a big response that I got. And in a lot of ways, although I've now since had several Italians mention to me that, they could use my help with budgeting and money management, Italians don't have as much problems with things like consumer debt because it is nearly impossible to get into consumer debt or into credit card debt specifically when you live in Italy. They don't give you credit cards that you're able to carry a balance on. That's just impossible. If you did that, then you would never be able to get a credit card again. So that concept is like not even in their mind. They wouldn't ever see a reason to work with someone to help you get out of such a complicated scenario that consumer debt really is in our American society. And I know it plays a role in other societies as well, but especially in America. Also, most Italians don't deal with the issue of student loan debt. And obviously, student loan debt is another thing that plays a huge role in the livelihoods of Americans. There's more to this. A lot of Italians won't necessarily buy a home as early as Americans. They'll typically continue to live with their parents until later in life. But they also have the issues of having much lower wages in Italy or potentially never being able to find a great secure job. So there's other issues, obviously. But when I would talk about the job that I had and the career and the business that I ran, it confused most of the people because they were like, I don't see the purpose. And I just understood that because I was like, well, good news is I'm not trying to work with Italians. Most of my clients are in the US, some are in Canada, and some are in the UK. And I'm happy with that. I am more comfortable with those systems, and I understand the pain points and the fears and the goals that those clients that I am trying to target do have. And so whether it's, whether you're working on a cultural divide or you're just thinking about your friends and how they might be reflecting onto you their thoughts about your chosen career path and what you would like to pursue, I want you to remember that your friends are probably not your ideal clients, especially if they don't see any value in working with a money coach. And even if they verbalize it, they might still be able to use a money coach. I'm not going to lie. They probably could. I think most people could. But just remember that taking this feedback from your friends is not going to be constructive, whether they're trying to make it constructive or not. Because if they're not your clients, if they're not a similar match to the position in which your ideal clients are in, then it's not going to be valuable for you to even listen. You can respect that. You can come and try to understand where they're coming from, which on the deepest level is most likely that they just want you to be happy. They just want you to survive and thrive and turn into a beautiful butterfly, right? Just like your parents. Another scenario that you might run into is your partner being really not on board, or not necessarily not on board, but just a little uncertain about this new career path that you're choosing to pursue, whether you're choosing to pursue it as a side hustle or as a full-time gig or anything in between. They might be seeing you starting to put yourself out there. They might be, you might be having conversations with them about making an investment in maybe a coach or in some sort of platform, and they might be, hard to convince, which it shouldn't take necessarily convincing, but they might be a little bit harder to see the value and see how much good you can really do in the world of your money coaching business. And when it comes to this, when I share with you the 3 types of people you really should be listening to, I think it will make more sense. But when it comes to your partner, obviously, I personally, and this is a personal stance, but I do personally think it is really important to discuss especially bigger purchase decisions with your partner, especially if you are sharing your financial positioning and you're doing your finances together. Then yes, this is a conversation that has to happen. So you also need to make sure that you are able to back up your decision to want to move forward with a big investment like hiring your own business coach, or buying access to a bigger platform, or investing in a course, or any of those things, or getting a certification for that matter. And so it is important to help your partner get on board with that, but it's not important to listen to their opinion on how successful you can be in this field. So we'll just leave it at that, and we'll come back to that when I share who you should be listening to instead when it comes to your business. The last couple are just some that, for me personally, this has happened and it cuts deep, where it could be, a family member, maybe it's a cousin, or maybe it's your brother, or maybe it's a friend that, you only talk to every once in a while. And maybe they just tell you about how it's not going to work. They're just kind of those people who are always looking for why things won't work. And whether it's in their own life or it's in your life, they're going to tell you that. Or maybe they somewhat mock you and, talk about your fun new hobby that you have. And when you think about the way that they are projecting, in a sense, and that's what they're doing, is they're projecting onto you, I want you to recognize that as, again, on the deepest level, it could come off as them just wanting you to be happy and making sure that you are making the best decision for yourself. But on another level, and probably an even deeper level, it is a projection of how they feel about themselves. So it could be that you are starting to, by you deciding, I want to pursue this goal, I want to pursue this dream, you're starting to show them a piece of themselves that they wish they would have been able to do, but they potentially talked themselves out of it, or they got talked out of it, or, they decided, or someone made fun of them for wanting to go down that route. Someone mocked their quote unquote hobby and didn't take them seriously. And so now, as a natural reaction, it's not because they're a bad person or because they are doing this to harm you, but they're just doing it because it seems right. Like subconsciously, that's become programmed in them that, oh, that silly dream that you have, that's not possible. And here's all the ways it's not going to work because, oh, I tried before and it didn't work for me. And I think we all have potentially someone in our lives who plays this role. And I just want you to remember that obviously you shouldn't be listening to them, but they could also be someone where their words do cut deep, because maybe you do actually care what they think and what they say. And so just remember that in a lot of ways, this is usually just a reflection of their own disappointment, their own internal desires and wishes, and how they either didn't allow themselves to go after the goal, or they tried and they failed, or they tried and someone made fun of them so they gave up, or someone told them how it wasn't going to work so they gave up. And now it's just reflecting back onto you. So you get to decide how you want to take it. And these are just a couple of different examples of all the many ways that people are going to be like, oh, you're still doing that crazy thing. And you can reframe it for yourself, because that's all, like, that's what you need to do. There's people to listen to, but at the end of the day, the only person who gets to stop you from pursuing this goal is yourself. And if you just keep going after it, if you keep making moves, if you keep making progress in a forward motion, you're going to do what you've set out to do. The only reason people fail is because, especially in entrepreneurship, is because they give up. And sometimes because they run out of money. But if you join the Wealthy Coach Blueprint, you'll know that you can build a very lean business that does not take much capital at all to build it. So, who are the people you should listen to then, right? Especially if it's your parents or your friends or your partner or a cousin or your siblings, or, just some acquaintances that you're like, stop telling me what you think. Who should you really be listening to? Who matters when it comes to what you want to build, what sort of business you want to create, and the dreams that you're chasing after as it relates to your business? And here are the 3 people that you should tune into. First and foremost, if you have a mentor or you are looking to hire a mentor, that is a good person to listen to. Now, I say that with a caveat, because that mentor should be someone who has a business that you hope to have someday, or who's created a business in the past that you're looking to create. There are too many coaches and mentors who have never built a business like the one that they're coaching you to build. They've never actually booked out their own coaching business, and now they're trying to teach you how to do the same. Or, there's so many other different types of business coaches who, want to help, but have never actually built their own successful business. So just remember that and really look for a coach who has done what you are trying to do, but then know that those are the types of people that you can listen to. And that's only one part of the equation, but that is one guidepost for you, is to know that one of the 3 people that you should be listening to when it comes to what you are building and what you're capable of is going to be a mentor who has done what you hope to do. The second one is going to be your ideal clients. So I know that your friends or your partner might not understand why anyone would hire a money coach, and they can't quite wrap their head around it. But you know who does understand? The people who are going to hire you. And I know that kind of sounds like, well, whose comes first, the chicken or the egg? But obviously there are people out there who desperately need this guidance, who are looking for you to just show up and say, hey, I am a coach, I can help you with this. And they're willing to pay you for it. They're willing to put some skin in the game, because at this point, their discomfort and their fear about staying in the exact same place is bigger than the discomfort of, investing in someone who's going to help them get out of that place, who's going to help them achieve their goals, pay off debt, do all the things that they hope to do with their money. So there are definitely people who you want to serve out there, let's figure out who those people are and then let's go talk to them. So instead of, talking to your friends who see no value in this, go to the people who do see value in it and let's see what they think. And most likely they are like, yeah, I need this. I need you. I see lots of value. The third person that you should be listening to when it comes to your business and what you hope to achieve is your future self. Now, I know this sounds a little cuckoo, but stick with me. There is a more evolved version of you in the future. And the cool thing is you can tap into who that is now. I mean, if you just think about what you, like, I think we've all done this before. We've thought about what we would tell like our past self, think about what would you tell 15-year-old you? What would you tell 20-year-old you? What would you tell 25-year-old you? And you can think of probably all these things that you'd like to tell that past version because there are so many things that you probably worried about, so many things that you got stuck on, so many things that you let trip you up or that maybe you gave up too soon or that you just like didn't need to waste your breath on that you did. And the same is happening right now. So if you can just for a second, especially when something like this comes up where you're feeling a little bit doubtful because other people might be doubting you, just for a second, try to tap into you 5 years from now and go 5 years from now, is this going to be what I let makes me stop? Is this what's going to get in my way? Is this going to be the one thing someone said to me that made me say, you're right, I shouldn't pursue this? And just put yourself into the future and then tell yourself in today's body like what you need to hear. Because so many times people give up just because of what other people think. And then 5 years later, you don't even talk to that person anymore. Or that person is now asking you for advice, right? There's so many different ways that it plays out. And it's just funny. If you actually stick to it, you will be so shocked at how much things change for your parents, how much they start to realize or learn, or even they'd be willing to learn because they care about you and they see that you're pursuing this goal relentlessly and they want to now understand it better. So they choose to understand instead of telling you not to do it because they don't understand. Same thing with your friends. They're going to start seeing that it is valuable. And hey, maybe they come knock on your door and say, I didn't think you could help me, but I think I could use your help, right? Your partner, once you retire your partner at the age of 45, they're going to be thanking you. That's an example, but it could happen. Your cousin, your brother, they're just going to be asking you for business advice. That's all. So know who to listen to. It certainly isn't any of those people. The people you should definitely be listening to are the people who have done it, who have done what you want to do, who are your mentors and who have your best interest at heart. Your ideal clients, the people who are ultimately going to put money in your bank account to make this dream a reality and who you are going to help change their lives. And your future self, the 5 year in the future version of you who's like, hey, don't get down on that. That is not worth it. So I hope this helps, especially if you've been feeling the doubt or you've been feeling a bit overwhelmed by other people's opinions and unnecessary feedback that was unsolicited. And if you ever need to revisit this, please come back and revisit this episode because it's going to happen to you more than once or more than however many times it's happened so far. And if you need that reminder of who to listen to, just come back to this. If you need that reminder of how to reframe the way other people are projecting onto you or are thinking about this and then articulating it to you, come back to this episode. Okay, remember that the only people that matter are your mentors, your ideal clients, and your future self. And at the root of this, you choose to pursue. You choose to make your dreams a reality. It's nobody else's choice. So with that, I invite you to join the waitlist for the Wealthy Coach Blueprint. Enrollment starts in August of this summer, and I am so excited for the next batch of clients to come through the blueprint and join the magic of building your life-changing coaching package, attracting your ideal clients, and building your booked-out coaching business. So if you're ready to change the lives of the people, the many, many people who desperately need money coaching in their life, go to wanderwealthy.com/blueprint. You will be the first to know if you join the waitlist when enrollment opens, so you can get on a special strategy call with me to talk about your business, talk about your goals. I will definitely tell you it is possible and you can do it. But we can talk all about it on that special strategy call, which will take place sometime in August. And then we'll get started on the blueprint, the amazing, magical 90 days. So wanderwealthy.com/apply. If you want to check out this week's show notes, you can head to wanderwealthypodcast.com/podcast/episode 174. And if you especially loved this episode, go ahead and take a screenshot right now. I'll give you a second. Take a screenshot, do it now, and go ahead and upload it to your Instagram or your Facebook. Tag me at Tess_Wicks on Instagram, at wanderwealthy on Facebook. And thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you loved about this episode. You can also DM me any questions you have. And until next time, I hope you wander wealthy.